Hello and welcome to Awaz News. I'm Kubra Ali and I'll be taking you through big news across Canada.
We will never ever sell the LCBO, Duckworth says amid Ontario protests. Police attempted to stop speeding vehicle before deadly six-vehicle collision in Scarborough, SIU. Two more suspects charged in murder of Bowmanville man, pregnant wife. Police make arrest in case of Woodland rapist. Charges date back to 1992. Households owed $1.79 for every dollar of disposable income in Q4 Statistics Canada. Canada pledges help for Palestinian sex crime victims, angering Israeli envoy. Life sentence handed to Brampton man who snapped, killed wife in public park.
These were the headlines and now let's jump right into the details.
Statistics Canada says households owed $1.79 in credit market debt on average for every dollar of disposable income in the fourth quarter. The federal agency said Wednesday that seasonally adjusted household credit market debt as a proportion of household disposable income fell for the third quarter in a row. The figure dipped to 178.7% in the fourth quarter from 179.2% in the third quarter, a change the agency attributed to disposable income outpacing growth in credit market debt because of relatively slow mortgage borrowing in the fourth quarter. However, the household debt service ratio, which measures interest and principal as a share of disposable income, was little changed in the fourth quarter's payments rose in the line with disposable incomes, noted Shelley Kaushik, an economist with BMO Capital Markets. It remains historically elevated and is poised to rise in the coming quarters, she said. Before then, Kaushik expects elevated debt service ratios to continue to be a headwind for household spending and broader economic activity. StatCan's Wednesday release also noted households were wealthier in the fourth quarter. The agency said total household net worth increased almost 2% to $16.4 trillion, driven largely by strength in financial markets as both bonds and equities rallied. Despite the boost, there are still disparities, said Maria Soloviva, an economist with TD. She saw a January uptick in consumer insolvencies, leading her to believe that some families are unable to meet their financial obligations. But looking ahead, Soloviva expects another quarter of growth in household net worth. Equities have also increased, especially in the US, she noted. Police in the Greater Toronto Area, GTA, say they have charged a suspect decades after an alleged serial rapist who targeted children eluded police in the 1990s. The investigation, known as Project Woodlands, focused on sexual assaults which occurred in Peel, Halton, and Waterloo between 1992 and 1995. The cold case has dogged investigators for decades, with the suspect dubbed the Woodland rapist. Children as young as 8 reported being lured into the woods and sexually assaulted in the number of incidents police have previously said. A composite sketch of a suspect was released around the time of the assaults, but no arrests were ever made. Searches in the National DNA database didn't turn up any matches to known offenders either. Investigators speculated over the years that the perpetrator may have died or moved out of the area. The case was reopened 15 years ago in 2009 for another look. An image of a black cotton shirt left at one of the crime scenes and bearing a distinctive wood duck logo was released at the time as well. But many years passed without any major developments. Then on Wednesday, Peel and Halton said that a suspect from British Columbia was taken into custody on March 3rd in connection with the investigation. They said 64-year-old Richard Neal is now facing more than 20 charges, including kidnapping, uttering death threats, sexual assault with a weapon, sexual interference, invitation to sexual touching, forcible confinement, and administering a noxious thing with intent. He was held for a bail hearing, police said. There is a publication ban in place to protect the identity of the victims, and no additional information is being released at the time. Peel and Halton police said. They did not say that what evidence led to the arrest in this case some 30 years after the crimes were committed. However, new genetic genealogy techniques have recently allowed investigators in multiple jurisdictions to make breakthroughs in cold cases which have gone unsolved for decades. Investigators are asking anyone with further information about the case to reach out to police or to call Crime Stoppers anonymously. Police have announced the arrest of 2 more suspects in connection with the murder of 28-year-old Bowmanville man and his pregnant wife. On February 4, 2023, Aram Kamil and Rafat Al-Zubaydi, 26, were found dead inside their home on Crombie Street. Investigators allege that at about 12:45 a.m., 3 armed suspects wearing masks entered the residence and shot both victims multiple times at close range. Kamil and Al-Zubaydi, who was 6 months pregnant, died instantly, they said. Sergeant Brad Corner of Durham Regional Police Service, DRPS, said that victims' bodies were discovered on the main floor of the dwelling more than 12 hours later when officers were called to that address for a wellness check. The ongoing investigation into the murders has been lengthy and remains an open investigation as we work to determine the specific motives, he said during a recent news conference. Demoy Blair, 22, of Oshawa, and 37-year-old Rocky Steve Stevenson of Ajax are each facing 2 counts for first-degree murder. Late last week, police announced that Eliayo and Abdinisar Aden, both 22 years old, along with 21-year-old Emmanuel Esbon, have also each been charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder in connection with the homicides. Toronto police officers attempted to stop the driver of a speeding vehicle before he flipped his car in a deadly 6-vehicle crash in Scarborough Wednesday morning, the province's police watchdog says. A spokesperson for the Special Investigations Unit said the driver of a Mercedes-Benz SUV, which police have determined was stolen from Peel Region, fled police at a high rate of speed following the attempted traffic stop near Markham Road and Milner Avenue at around 6:30 a.m. That's where the suspect vehicle and 5 others collided, causing the SUV to flip onto its roof and burst into flames. At least 3 people needed to be extricated from their vehicles, Toronto Fire told Awaz News after the collision. The driver of the SUV and the driver of another vehicle involved were transported to a trauma center with life-threatening injuries. The driver of the suspect vehicle was pronounced dead earlier today. The other driver remains in hospital in critical condition. Ontario Clement Court accused the union leader representing LCBO workers of lying about its privatization as members protested outside of MPP's offices this week. The Liquor Control Board of Ontario LCBO is the crown corporation that sells and distributes alcoholic beverages throughout the province. On Tuesday, workers participated in a province-wide protest demanding the Ford government stop the sell-off of the LCBO. Petitions were distributed to the offices of 11 government officials, including the Premier's constituency office in Etobicoke. The Premier announced late last year that up to 8,500 new stores will be allowed to sell alcohol by 2026. This included convenience and big box stores in addition to grocery stores. The LCBO, the government previously said, will continue to sell and distribute alcohol with exclusive rights to spirits like vodka and whiskey. The Ontario Public Service Employees Union OPSEU is arguing that these changes will impact jobs and send their profits to big box stores instead. At no point has the government publicly hinted at selling the LCBO privatizing the industry. Both the Ford government and the Convenience Industry Council have argued the changes are about giving residents more choice. OPSU is in the midst of their bargaining negotiations with the province. Ford said that misleading members may hurt the process. A Brampton man has been sentenced to life with no chance of parole for 13 years after he was found to stab his wife more than 30 times during an argument on a public trail in 2021. The sentence was handed down in Toronto to Janelle Randhawa by Superior Court Justice J.M. Wilcombe on March 8, according to court filings. Back in January, Randhawa, 66, pleaded not guilty to first-degree murder and guilty to the lesser offense of second-degree murder in the death of his wife, Dalbir Randhawa. Dalbir died on June 2, 2021, after being attacked by Janelle while on a nightly walk in the area of Steeles Avenue on Mississauga Road, the documents state. She was 64-year-old. After Janelle fled the scene, Dalbir's body was found by passerby who called 911. Responding officers located Dalbir with severe head trauma and multiple stab wounds. She was pronounced dead at the scene. An autopsy revealed 35 sharp force injuries, including numerous stab wounds to her head, neck, torso, limbs, and genitals, court documents state. According to the filings, Randhawa previously said that he and his wife had gotten into an argument that evening, initially over small matters. He later told police that he had become really upset as the dispute escalated and did not recall what had come over him. He says he does not know what happened and that he just became crazy, Wilcombe wrote in the decision. Shortly after the attack, Janelle was seen running north on Highway 410. The court heard that he called his niece while fleeing, telling her he was going to die. The next day, Randhawa visited a Sikh temple in the early hours of the morning. Video presented as evidence shows that he went inside the temple, appeared to have cleaned up and changed his clothes, and then left his bloody clothes behind. Just before 7 a.m., he was located by Peel Regional Police and arrested for murder. At the time, Dalbir and Janelle had been married over 30 years and had 3 children together. Until that point, there had been no reported history of intimate partner issues or marital or financial issues. The court heard that prior to the pandemic, Janelle had been returning India on a semi-frequent basis, that due to restrictions, he could no longer keep up with the visits. In a testimony, Dalbir and Janelle's adult daughter spoke of the emotional wound sustained by her family. She told the court she was unable to tell her children the truth, instead telling them that their grandmother died of a heart attack. While the family declined to provide victim impact statements at Janelle's sentencing hearing, there can be no doubt that this murder was torn the family apart, Wilcombe wrote in this decision. Ahead of the sentencing, the Crown asked for parole ineligibility period of no less than 15 years. The defense submitted a period of 12 to 15 years. In considering a penalty, Wilcombe took Janelle's 983 days in pre-sentence custody into account. During that time, he underwent 292 full lockdowns, 64 days of partial lockdowns, and was triple bunked for 615 days. Ultimately, a parole eligibility period of 13 years was decided upon. In addition to jail time, Janelle was handed a lifetime ban on the possession of weapons. He also must submit a sample of DNA to the court. An announcement this week that Canada would provide funding for Palestinian women who have survived sexual violence drew an immediate rebuke from a senior Israeli official. Foreign Affairs Minister Melanie Joly made the $1 million pledge on social media Tuesday. "We believe Palestinian women," she posted on Twitter. "Allegations on sexual and gender-based violence against them must be investigated and Palestinian women must be supported." Within minutes, Israel's envoy for combating anti-Semitism criticized the post. Joly's office would not say whether Canada believes Israeli forces are perpetrating sexual violence on women in Gaza as their war against Hamas continues, nor if the funding pertains to domestic abuse in the Palestinian territories. The minister's staff would only say that the money will be toward organizations supporting Palestinian women from the West Bank and Gaza who are survivors of the sexual violence, no matter the circumstance. Early this week, Joly announced the same amount of money to support Israeli women who have been victims of sexual violence by Hamas, months after a cross-partisan group of Canadian former politicians asked Canada to pledge $1 million. It is unclear which groups will receive the funding announced from women in each region. Last month, a group of United Nations experts said They were distressed by unconfirmed reports that Palestinian women and girls in Israeli detention have faced sexual assault. The accusations included 2 reports of rape, threats of sexual assault, and strip searches by male Israeli soldiers. The experts said they were seeking an impartial investigation into the allegations.
Thank you for tuning in. I'm Kubra Ali. I'll see you back tomorrow, same time, same channel. Have a good night.